Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 214.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast, the podcast that teaches you insider tips, tactics, and strategies for creating leverage streams of cash flow into your life. Learn from top-performing entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, and thought leaders from across the globe as they share their secrets to success. Like what you learn on this and other Cashflow Diary podcast episodes? Go to learninvestingnow.com and sign up to receive powerful tips and information that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur and investor. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, educator, speaker, author, and master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game, Jay Massey.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast. I am your host, Jay Massey, and I'm glad that you're here today because, as you know, we have been finding, digging, searching the globe, if you will, for those individuals who have gone out there and made it happen. You think it's possible, but my goal has been with this series is to expand what you thought was possible, take it into probable, and then hopefully get you into that gear. So you probably already figured it out. We're talking to another individual who's been out there making it happen to the tune of $100,000 a month or more. And we've got yet a completely different industry. And what I'm excited about, ladies, she's a lady too. That's the great thing. The great thing is that we have found another one. I know they're powerful. Ladies, you are powerful. You are out there. And I want you to meet another one who's out there doing it too. It is none other than Marci Lock, and she comes to us from Southern California, which in my opinion is one of the best places to live because I'm here too. Hey. And at the end of the day, you don't have to live in Southern California and you don't have to make six figures a month in order to afford to live in Southern California. But if you did, it would be so much better. And she's going to share with us how to go from zero to hero, or I should say zero to shiro in a very short period of time, but most importantly, taking what is inside, bring it on the outside, and learning how to share it with other individuals. Marci, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fabulous. Fucking fantastical is my word of what I like to say. That's how I like to live.
Good. Excellent. So,
and I'm locking down the truth, Jay. There you go.
There it is. That's what I needed. I see now my world is right.
I knew it.
For those of you who have not experienced Marci yet, when you catch up with her on Facebook, nearly every video she is locking down the truth, and it is awesome to hear. In fact, I kind of miss it if I don't see it. So I asked her to do that just for me. Now, let's talk about you for a little moment. I tend to look at today's entrepreneurs a lot like yesterday's superheroes. So, you got Wonder Woman, you got Black Widow, you got all of these people who are using their special set of skills in various different ways to go out there and serve others. However, before they did that, before they even discovered they had those talents, they were ordinary citizens for the most part.
Yeah.
Before the six figures a month, before you being the body mind mentor, before all of the things that you have now accomplished and grown into being, I want to know who's Marci Lock.
Well, that is an awesome, powerful question. The truth is, I have always been perfect, whole, and complete. So I just didn't know it back then. I was already the superhero that got to go through my perfect, beautiful growth process and journey to find the gifts and the genius that I have to share. But I mean, you and I were talking a little bit about my story, and I was a $2 an hour waitress with $10 to my name, struggling to survive. So it was about 6-7 years ago, before I really got into sharing my genius and my passion that, I experienced a cheating husband and was like, had a 1 and a 4-year-old to feed and was just like, how can I survive? And so, my starting back in the day when I was little, I grew up on a farm, and it was like I had money beliefs, Jay. So to be someone who's like on a show going like, yeah, 6 figures a month is easy, peeps. Like money is like breathing air. It is that easy. So I get it that people can be like, that crazy. You crazy woman. You are a crazy woman, right?
Cray-cray. Yep.
Yeah. I like being cray-cray because guess what? I'm in the 1% that chooses to have that as my experience. Again, chooses to have that as my experience. I decide to be wealthy, because all of us have the possibilities to have it and anybody can do it. So when you hear that I was a $2 an hour waitress with $10 to my name, and I grew up on a farm where literally we had to grow our own food to survive. By 6 years old, I was doing side jobs, cleaning houses for neighbors and mowing lawns so that I could pay for my cleats to play soccer and so that I could buy my own clothes. It's like, I mean, I have that story of like, versus like you hear the old story of like, I walked 6 miles to school uphill in the snow. I can take out the uphill part because it was flat road, but we literally did walk like,
yes.
I had like that old school story of life is hard. And, my dad had diabetes and he passed away when I was 15. And just so seeing all these, the experience of money was hard. We literally had to struggle to grow our own food to eat. And just seeing both my parents work and body issues, like I had a lot of, these were the belief systems I took on. So my experience of growing up was like, the body doesn't work. I had all these sicknesses, diseases from, migraines to ulcers to all these things. I had a heart attack at 19. I had breast cancer at 24. I had stalkers, kidnappers, rape attempts, because I had all these beliefs that the world was scary and, all these things were hard. And so that's what I experienced because, again, I was deciding on that as my experience based on my belief systems. And so I definitely resonate with the people that think it's crazy to be able to have money be effortless and know, how to give value to the world, et cetera. And I want to start with really the understanding that all money issues are an inability to receive. That's it.
Right.
That's it. It has nothing to do with money. It's your own inability and incapacity to allow yourself to receive. It's actually a matter of self-love. So if you want more money, you get to create more value in the world. That's it. It's just a value exchange. So money is just a tool of production to create in exchange for value. So if you're feeling like you want some more money in your life, it's simply like it's a reflection of how much you're making is a reflection of how much you love yourself and how much value you're giving to the world. So the more we drop these stories, it allows us to go, okay, so what is my value and who am I? And again, more on the storylines is I went through that struggle. And it's when I became, a single mom, newly divorced, got a job as a waitress. Like, this is the only way I know how to survive, to, take care of my kids all day and go be a waitress at night. And stepping from that, where money was so hard, to going, okay, how do I actually start to focus on what I want to create and what is possible, that led me to where I am today.
Oh, this is good, ladies and gentlemen. I know some of you are thinking, I know you had the thought, is this the female Jay? No, it's not. I'm telling you, it's completely different. She's a completely different person. But how many things did you hear that were the same? Man, that was awesome. I've got to ask these questions because you hit the nail on the head. I was going to ask your mindset around money and how has it changed. Share with us, if you will, some of the other beliefs that you might have had and that some people might still be clinging to that could be in their way as it relates to money.
Yeah, well, first off, I mean, the one that comes up for me that was a game changer for me is understanding that I am my greatest asset. So here we put it outside of ourselves thinking, well, if I had the right situation or if I knew the right people or if I was lucky, like,
oh, don't say that one.
Yeah, I know,
that
right?
one's going to irritate me. Yeah.
These are all unconscious languaging in our language system that we've been given. And seeing outside of ourselves. And instead of, you are your greatest asset. You are the only person that can create the wealth, the house, the car, the business, to create the quality time with your kids. And so once you understand, like, I'm my greatest asset. So that's where I was when I was that $2 an hour waitress. I was like, I know I'm going towards an epic life. I'm all in on going towards an epic life. And when we're on that, Jay, I'll kind of share one of the biggest things that I think blocks people from creating it is this. A lot of us, because we're just trained in society to conform and to be conditioned based on the belief systems and how we see life as good, bad, wrong, right, this or that, in these boxes and these parameters. So many of us have, like 99% of us has perfectionist identity tendencies. And so we see things as all or none. And so people look up and they go, okay, I want to be like you, Jay. I want to I want to make money. I want to live that kind of a life. And they look up and they see so much that gets to change to create that life that they go, I think I'm going to fail. Or it's like 98% of people stop after 2 to 3 tries, 98%. And 19 out of 20 fail at getting what they want because they don't just follow the system to success to, moving through this stuff. And so when we kind of go, well, I'm all in or none, then we're literally living in validations, excuses, or stories that keep us from doing it. Like, oh, I've got to have the right knowledge like you do, Jay, to probably invest, or I've got to build the whole program out, or I need a website and this and this. And this is what's funny, Jay. I started creating 6 figures a month when I didn't even have a sell. I told you this, that I do 6 figures a month off organic Facebook marketing. So I still to this day am not paying a dime on ads or marketing. So you don't need money to make money. I started making 6 figures a month. I hit 50,000 and made 6 figures a month when I didn't even have a sales funnel. So let's break all the stories right now. It has nothing to do with what's outside of you. It has everything to do with what's inside of you. So by being that, I know where I'm going is I'm all in on going towards an epic life. I'm going to put my head down and look at the next inch in front of me. And inch by inch, life is a cinch. So when I realized I'm my greatest asset, it was that point when I was that $2 an hour waitress that I got my first mentor for 15 grand. And if I would have listened to the stories of everyone else, I actually shared this story when I was on stage with Les Brown. And it's like, if I would have listened to anyone outside me, do you think everyone probably thought I was crazy if I was like, oh yeah, I have $10 to my name and $2 an hour job and 2 kids to feed, and I'm going to pay for this mentor for 15 grand.
Yes.
Yeah, everyone in the world would have been like, you crazy, don't do that, keep your job, blah, blah, blah. But that's okay for you. I don't want to live in the 99% that wants to go through the motions of life. I'm choosing epic. And so I get to give myself permission to invest in myself, to learn the tools, to have something different. And so it was like asking the right questions, like what else is possible? What else can I try? How can I create that? And like, oh, do you take a payment plan? Awesome. How do I get to create that? And starting with that and moving forward a step at a time. And that's operating out of faith energy, which is wonderment, curiosity, excitement, and asking yourself those questions to create that quality of life versus how most of us are operating out of fear, which is lack, scarcity, worry. Well, what if I fail? Or what if I can't do this? Or I could look around and be like, well, I got 2 kids to feed, so I can't. Well, that's some stories and excuses. What can you do? So, I think deciding that you're your greatest asset and you're worthy of investing in, you cannot expect to implement the tools to get to where you're at, Jay, if you don't invest in yourself to do something different and learn how to have a different experience.
This is exactly why I like watching your videos. It's because at the end of every one of them, it feels like you should just drop the mic and fade to black. Because it's just like, yes, that's exactly, you have a different way with words and the same feelings that I occasionally want to express. And I say it one way, but I'm just like straight down the middle, right between the eyes.
Oh, that's funny.
And I love it.
I just got off a TV show before you, and they were like, you just in it. You're in my face. I'm like, this is how I roll. This is just what I do.
And I'm good with it. Now, one of the things that you said a number of things right there. And one of the things I just want to make sure that everyone heard. You said a heart attack at 19.
I did. Mm-hmm.
And at 24, was that breast cancer?
Yep.
And so married and divorced, two children.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And for whatever reason, you still managed to get the strength to ignore that part of the story and write a new chapter.
Yep, definitely.
Where does that strength come from?
It was so beautiful. So this is the difference, is when we look through at life through the eyes of what the world has taught us, we see it out of, like I said, parameters, good, bad, wrong, right. It has to look this way, certain way. So even to drop the story of like me being a mom could look a different way. Because my story was like, oh no, a good mom means you stay at home with your kids all day and da-da-da. But for me to move on and create, sharing my passion, my purpose, and making it different, it's like, I got to drop some of the stories. And my kids are so much more empowered because of that. Like, they're little mind geniuses. In fact, I got to share with you, Jay, like, so they do little videos, like even on just their experience of, like, last year I had them on a TV show with me where we got to interview just their perceptions and how they see the world. And so now they're 12 and 9. And my youngest, Gavin, when he was 5, he went to preschool the first day, and he came home and he's like, Mom, he's like, today this girl said that boys are stinky and dumb. And I'm like, interesting. And notice I didn't say that's wrong, that's bad. There's no judgments. In anyone else in this world choosing what they choose to believe, there's no judgment. So it was like, interesting. I said, what do you think about that? And he said, well, she's going to attract stinky dumb boys. She's going to date stinky. She's going to marry a stinky dumb boy. And this is at 5. And I was like, yeah, good call. And I said, what do you think about yourself? Because she said that and you're a boy. And he's like, well, I just know that she's being mean because she doesn't love herself. He's like, I'm awesome.
Yes. I love it.
So it's like, if I didn't go through my own beautiful growth process and learn how to shift my beliefs, I wouldn't even be able to have taught my kids how to be see their own genius and be powerful creators because we've just been taught to conform. So really it's if we choose to see things through a different light or just choose to give ourselves permission to be like, okay, again, like that's okay for you, that's what you choose. This is what I want to create and this is what I want to experience for my life. So it gets to look like whatever way I want. And that was one of the greatest growth processes for me as perfectionist identity tendencies. It's like I like to kick ass, and that's part of being the perfectionist identity. Yet it gets to be easy. It gets to look like the way I want. It doesn't have to look a certain way. And dropping that story that it has to look a certain way and choosing it gets to look like whatever way works for me. Because the difference is, Jay, you're 37.2 trillion unique cells. And I'm 37.2 trillion unique cells.
Plus or minus one.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I might have 37.4 because, I'm extra like,
Yeah, of course.
Right. But we're all like have had these beautiful, perfect, different experiences, different thought processes, different, people in our lives. And so the crazy thought is to think that there is such thing as perfect, because perfect is actually right now. You're in your perfect right now because it's obviously what you're experiencing. So it is perfect for you and you've chosen to attract that. And so, I can go off on all sorts of tangents, obviously, Jay, yet you were asking me like, how did I really go from dropping that story? Is one of the things that worked for me is I saw my former, I call my former versus my ex because there's a positive energy around it versus a negative energy. Ex means like something negative. And I chose to see as I got to drop these stories that, you know what? I had the choice here to experience whatever I wanted. Like everything, taking first full responsibility for everything that you're experiencing is number one. If you're going to talk about how you don't have enough money, you don't have enough leads, you don't have enough knowledge or information, guess what? You're going to get it. You're going to get more of it, right? Like that's your choice. What you're speaking today is what you get tomorrow. Right. So you're just projecting more of that and you're looking for more of that, and that's exactly what you're going to find. So when you take full responsibility, you go, every single experience I've ever had in my entire life has been my choice. It's been your choice. So I looked at, the experience with my former and that, cheated on me, et cetera. And I was like, wow, okay. So what resonates for me is knowing that, whether it be heaven or whatever you want to call it, you're connected to source, et cetera. I was like, you know what? I really want to experience forgiveness. Like, I want to know, what does ultimate forgiveness look like? So see, in heaven, we're all like angels and fairy dust and rainbows, and it's all like normal, right? Like that's normal. Like my normal now is fantastical every day in every single area. Other people's normal is survive, settle, struggle. It's just a choice.
You're right.
So in heaven, it's all, pixie dust. And I was like, I really want to know, like, it's like we come down here for this beautiful experience to be like, what is this? What is that? I want to experience different vibrations, different energy, different experiences. And I must have wanted to experience ultimate forgiveness. So I'm up there going, what does that feel like? What does it look like? What is forgiveness? And my former was like one of my best buddies up there that was like, hey, you know what? I will put on a darker vibration, or I'll choose to make some decisions that allow you to go through that perfect process for you so you can experience that allowed me to be who I am today. Right. So I actually see him out of pure love and light and gratitude that he gave me the most beautiful gift of discovery for myself to it's when I started that path of, okay, what do I want to experience in my life and how do I get to change these things? And it allowed me to become the mom I am today and the person I am today and standing in truth today to show other people that they can have the same.
Indeed. Oh, yes. This is why I get so excited when I find someone who can take their past and call that so what, and then focus on the future and go, now what?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And so before we get too much further, I'm sure there's someone wondering right now, what does Marci do?
Right? She just uses a lot of swear words, and she's really like fast talker.
I'm sure, but they're taking notes while they're thinking it, by the way. And they're like, so tell us a little bit about the business that you now have, and the what it is that you do provide to the world that creates so much value.
All right. Well, the real reality of it and the real truth is just that for whatever reason, God gave me the deep understanding of knowing and understanding the inner belief systems, from the connections to your identity patterns, your perceptions, to all the ways that everything comes about together internally. And I really started so I'm known as the Body Mind Mentor. And I started from my experience of being like 4 years old and taking on beliefs that if you didn't have a perfect body, you weren't going to be loved, which stemmed into perfectionist identity that I had to show up perfectly. So hence I was living in that mask we all put on of like trying to conform to society. And by me struggling with the body, my first thing was really understanding how the body worked. And then I saw that, well, wait a minute, even when you understand how the body works, we sabotage. And, it's like you get close to having the perfect body. And then what happens? You sabotage or you don't keep it. And I started to really want to understand the internal game. And that's where my passion, my genius really came out, and just understanding how all these things connect together. So as the body mind mentor, I obviously have TV and radio, and I've done this for several years now, but I have a body mind transformation program, or body mind breakthrough, or mind body breakthrough program is really what it's called. That's worldwide. I have the last couple of years, what came through me is having my Goddess Revolution experience, which is teaching women how to stand in their full alignment and power with their feminine, their masculine energy combined. So it's not just this go, chaotic craziness or needing validation from outside themselves, being the source of their own experience. And then my breakthrough adventure experience is men and women, which is a lot of high-end entrepreneurs, but they're living at 80%. And my message has really evolved to realizing how you do one thing, you do all things. So all of these inner beliefs are connected to everything else. So the message I really want people to hear is, like, if you're not living in fantastical in every single area of your life, why not? Like, why would we choose less if you were in tune with the powerful, divine, limitless creator that you are? Infinite possibility, and how easy it is, how it's meant to be effortless. Because literally, let's think about it, Jay. You're creating right now in this very moment, like effortlessly. Yes. So the sun doesn't struggle to shine every day. The grass doesn't struggle to grow. Birds don't struggle to fly, and you don't struggle to breathe. You're sitting here breathing, which is you creating. Because right now, in this very moment, an energy is being vibrated from you. It's a belief system. It's how you're perceiving the world. It's how you're feeling, right? You have certain thoughts that are putting something out. You're speaking something. Everything is effortlessly being created. So it's like my message really evolved to wanting to teach people all the internal game, like aligning the internal game. One of my favorite quotes is Einstein. He says, "No problem can ever be solved from the same state in which it was created," right? You've heard this one. So it's knowing if we're at the core, if we're vibrating and believing about ourselves, I'm not good enough. So hence you're trying to show up in a mask, you're a victim of circumstance, all these things, because deep down you believe you don't deserve it, you're not worthy of it, you're not good enough, which is hence why you're not creating money, because it's an inability or lack of ability to receive because you're not worthy. So if that's what you believe at the core, then it doesn't matter if you go do the next business strategy or do the weight loss program or do the relationship thing or try to attract somebody to come be in your spaces relationship wise, because you're gonna sabotage because you don't believe you're worthy of it. It doesn't line up. So that's why the resistance and all these things keep getting into play, instead of when you go inside and you get clear on these things, literally it's like you can align up to things that effortlessly, the opportunities and the people. And so, like, I'm sure, Jay, you see life and making money as easy, because now you've seen the evidence of that and you've created that to your experience. For someone who's made life hard and they don't know how to do it, that's their evidence. So until they learn to shift that, it doesn't change.
And that was kind of the genesis behind this particular series of episodes. Was I was somewhat frustrated with our own community going 6 figures a year is hard, Jay. And I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. And what we practice, what I call those moments where I'm calling people to the carpet to realize the difference between their reality and their results, and where that problem lies is usually between their 2 ears. We call those carefrontations, and we have a number of them all throughout our system to help people break out of that former version, become J 2.0, Marci 2.0, that new version of you that's required in order to be able to receive, as you have so eloquently put time and time again. Now, what I want to ask you, what would you say are some of the, because you spoke a lot about sabotage, and that's true. It's there. Let's just call it what it is. It's there. You've done it. Those of you listening, I've caught myself in it. Fortunately, I've got a number of friends who can help me with that as well. However, I have a question. What are some of the biggest habits that you've seen or you had to release in order to then learn to receive where you are today?
Well, the greatest gift or contribution I could give everyone in that is, what I discovered through going through my own growth process is the quality of questions you ask determines the quality of life you live, right?
You did not just say that.
I did.
Yes, awesome. Keep going. I'm sorry, guys. I promise you that we did not rehearse this. We are not related. But go ahead.
We've never even talked until this moment. So it's like my assistant's like, you gotta show you're on, and we had all this little thing before. So this is awesome. Apparently that we had, and these are the truths, Jay. And the truth is that truths will always feel light and set you free, and lies are limiting and feel heavy. So, I mean, obviously, truth is truth, and you're experiencing the same truths. Of course, we're going to share the same truths. So, the two energies there's only two energies that are always operating. There's either fear or faith. And if you're in fear energy, which most of us are conditioned to live in, even the way that church systems and the government, all these things have been created is to portray things to see it out of the eyes of fear. Hence, if you don't do this, you're going to go to hell, or you're going to be judged, or people are going to reject you. It's like this box of, if you don't act this way and be this way, you're going to be, it's fear. There's fear in it. There's lack, scarcity, worry. Well, the opposite, creation energy, is faith energy. It's love energy. It's wonderment, curiosity, excitement. And so if you think about, you're about to take on something, and imagine it's like the analogy would be you're going on a roller coaster. And so you're about to get on the roller coaster. And if you see it through the eyes of fear, you're like, well, I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know, how I'm going to do this business thing, or what's going to happen, or what people I'm going to meet. And it's like we think somehow in this crazy idea the world's given us that we should know exactly how it's going to look, and that we have to know the whole path and process, and that it's going to be a success or we won't get on the roller coaster. And so guess what? Then we convince ourselves to not get on the roller coaster, and you stay in the exact same place. But the truth is, it's just like climbing a mountain. Until you take that step, when you take that step, you see more of the view. And then you take the next step, you see more of the view. Like, how could we ever think that we're supposed to see the whole valley when we're not even at the top of the mountain yet? And we don't know what the next step is going to bring. And each next step gives us the next step. So shifting it through questions is looking at it through the eyes of wonderment, curiosity, and excitement. So instead of like, I can't because, so I was that $2 an hour waitress. If I was saying, I can't because I'm a $2 an hour waitress, and I just like to add some podunk flair to that, apparently. You never know what's going to come out of me. That's the entertaining part. And so it's like, I saw it as, I got kids to feed, and how am I going to survive and all that. If I said I can't because all the evidence around me, I'd stay there. But instead I'm like, okay, I want this. So the thing I want people to hear is, if you want something and you're not moving towards it in some way, even an inch at a time, even the tiniest little step towards it, you are in some sort of story, excuse, or validation. That's it. That's the truth. So I want this. If you say, but blah, 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 nice story. If you want something, how would that be possible? So it's asking those questions like, oh, I wonder what can I create? How would this work? What else can I try? And if you simply always kept asking those questions, your mind would keep finding solutions, and then the possibilities open up to you. And it's a step by step by step that you find the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And so it's always feedback. Yet the world, we tend to see it through eyes of like good, bad, failure, instead of feedback. And that's why 98% of people stop after 2 to 3 tries, because they look at it as, oh, it doesn't look good enough, instead of put your head down and look at the next inch and the next inch and the next inch. Know that you're going somewhere. Like I talked about, I'm going towards an epic life, but I'm going to put my head down, and what's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? Right. And I simply ask the right questions to keep me moving towards that end goal, the results that I want.
And indeed. And as I've said before, go as far as you can see. And when you get there, you'll see further.
Yes.
There's nothing more necessary than that. And wow. Again, she's not my sister. I'm just letting you know. So it's just, but you've got to admit, there's so much that, they can go back and hear the episodes, but there's just so many things that are in common. As I've done this series of episodes, it's like so many different versions of the same thing that's there. And now it's been documented, and it'll be a beautiful experience to go all the way through and hear everything from beginning to end. And all of you guys get to do that as many times as you'd like, and just keep hitting rewind. So I've got to ask this question, Marci, because I know you're going to say something that I am going to love.
Okay.
Failure. Necessary evil? Is it required for success? What's your mindset, opinion of it? All right. Now, I'm going to let you hear what she has to say about failure. You're probably enjoying all the words that you have heard thus far. And I also have to let you know, this is the end of the series. So if you've just now joined us, we've been interviewing a number of individuals who have done the $100,000 a month to give you greater context, greater expansion, hopefully some understanding of the inner workings of the mind and systems of individuals who have done it. Here's the cool thing. You can head on over to the website, CashFlowDiary.com. Just go over to the website, CashFlowDiary.com. You will be able to just search for 100K, 100K. You will likely find the rest of the articles and podcasts and episodes, etc., so that you can see and hear from all of the other amazing entrepreneurs as well. Now, enough about me. Let's get back to talking about fear, or will we, with Marci.
Okay, I don't even believe in failure. Actually, there's one thing I would see as failure. Not moving.
Yeah.
That's the only time you're actually failing. If you choose, I'm not going to do anything and I'm just going to accept and stay right here, that's failure. Failure is, so what the world sees as failure, again, like I just talked about, is feedback. There is no such thing as failure. And this is even when we start to look at the idea of perfectionism and where we go, oh, progression equals perfection. I say perfect is right now. So, because like whatever I'm experiencing is the perfect process for me to learn whatever else I get to experience. So if I did, and this is, let's go somewhere that's probably somewhere your audience doesn't know and connect to on understanding the beauty of this. Okay. Because there's, I'll give you an example. We are so disconnected from how we're meant to operate. Like I'm talking about how we're effortlessly creators, right? Like you're breathing and you're exuding an energy and you have these thoughts you're creating right now. Yet we are so disconnected from how we're naturally built as infinite, limitless creators to draw to us and attract and experience whatever we want, that we're shut down in it. And yet, so we don't understand how we're not getting what we want. And so let's say, for instance, Jay, as a child, something happens to you that, maybe a friend pushes you on the playground and you go run into your parents and you run to your parents crying. And most likely you didn't necessarily get received with, oh, what are you feeling? And it's okay to express your emotion and say what you feel and what you thought and what happened. Instead, it's like, shh, it's okay. It's okay. What's wrong? So you're instantly taught from the time you're little that emotion is bad and wrong, that it's not okay to cry or to show emotion. And so we start to conform to this idea of like, disconnecting from our feelings. And then, based on how we got to show up for everybody else to be loved and validated, there's things I can't say. Don't say that. That's not polite, etc. So we're holding in what we think. So we operate out of perceptions that aren't even true. We never actually speak or be heard. And yet, if you're not able to be seen and fully heard, how do you think you're able to say, yep, bring me money? It's a total disconnect. Like people are like, I can't take a compliment. You can't take a compliment? You're not even worthy of a compliment, but you think you're worthy of money? Or how's that going to happen? It's a massive disconnect on why you're not able to manifest. And I want you to think of it this way. Say, for instance, that, you can call it God, you can call it source, you can call it universe, you can call it higher self, whatever you feel connected to, that you're connected to this source for your inspiration, like your specific genius. Like you have a specific genius, Jay, that I could never even try on, right? And it's coming through you. Like it's coming, like you're inspired and like I was just thinking, what a great gift that you created this, that you're like, hey, my market of people are looking for the evidence to see that that 100,000 a month is easy. How can I find that and give that to them? And you put together this series where all these other people in different experiences have all had stories, because we all have, and we've all had those experiences, are speaking the same truths. And they're like, oh, Jay, look, you just provided me all this evidence. It was huge for me to see someone like Laura Langmeyer that was making millions and a single mom that could like travel with her nanny in her own plane. And I was like, oh, it's possible. That's a beautiful gift. So when we allow ourselves to actually get in tune with what's really going on and how we're effortlessly meant to create, it's easy. Yet we've just disconnected that. So your source, like this, I want you to pretend you have this like flow coming from above of whatever you want to call it, of inspiration to create. And now if you say, I'm not okay with feeling sadness, you cut that off. I'm not okay with feeling anger, you cut that off. I'm not okay with speaking up for what I think and want to say, you cut that off. And you're like operating from this, like, you're like this tiny little garden hose connection that's kinked. And you wonder why you're not manifesting, because you're so disconnected from your ability to manifest. So what I want to kind of share with your audience is that your feelings and what's going on inside you is the perfect actual symbol of what's going on. So when you think you're experiencing failure, it's because if we actually connected it to the first moment, I don't feel awesome, Because when I'm in alignment and I feel good, I'm in alignment to create, to be inspired, all these things. I'm in tune with the truth of who I am, my capacity and power. The moment I feel off balance or, anxious or sad or angry or anything disconnected from that, that's just a big red flag going, hey, what's going on? What's going on?
Right.
Let's look at this feedback. And yet from the time we're little, it was like, bad, wrong. Don't feel. So we've disconnected, but this is what I want people to hear. I'll give you an example of why this is powerful. I have one of my personal clients that she's a famous doctor. And when she had an issue show up at her work one day, she was all upset. And I said, what are you feeling in your body? And she said, my chest. And I said, okay, chest, sadness. When you think about this issue, what are you really sad about? And she's like, what came up for her was, I don't trust myself. So when we looked at this, I don't trust myself, we tracked it to back when she was 2 years old.
Right.
She peed on the floor as a toddler, which we all do. And
more than once in some cases.
Right? Exactly. Especially we're great learners. We're really testing the theory.
Totally, right? You sure it's supposed to go there? No. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So her dad says something that she takes on the decision, I don't trust my own body. Like I'm fundamentally flawed. I don't trust myself, which stems into I'm not good enough. So then we see how her whole life, because of this belief she decided, she has created the experiences of seeing how she didn't trust herself in business and relationships, etc. So the feeling let us tap into what was really there. It triggered the pain button, the association to I don't trust myself, I'm not good enough. And so then usually what we've done is we've reacted to that with behaviors and patterns, and we kept ourselves in our comfort zone. Instead, when we just tune into the feeling and see what would look like failure, Jay, is just feedback, we go, oh, interesting. Like, wow, how am I perceiving this situation? And we get to walk through it. I actually teach a 5 steps to overcome sabotage. That is this powerful tool I use on a daily basis. And I have all my peeps always use this tool to walk through to consciously change it to something different. And the funny thing is she's in town now. She just spent Monday with me. She's here for an event that she's speaking at and doing some things. And we were in conversation with some people and about that came up. And I was like, does that ever even come up for you anymore? She's like, no, it doesn't. So what happened is we got clear on that was a pain button, a trigger, and a belief. Every time she had that show up, we got to walk through the 5 steps and she consciously chose different. Like she got to see it through a different light. She broke down the perception. She created a new behavior, a new pattern, and that belief disappeared. So she doesn't even think about anymore that she wouldn't trust herself. She definitely trusts herself. So it disappears. But see, if we didn't see everything as beautiful feedback and there not really being a story about failure, we wouldn't allow ourselves to break through and have a different experience.
I think everyone right now is understanding why I like watching your videos, because it gives me that extra reminder and information, because we're all on this earth together at this same moment. And this is the perfect time for you and I to all be here. We're learning these lessons together. We can share and we can grow if we choose to. And I hope everyone's been focused on the fact that her language is superb, especially when it comes to taking personal responsibility and understanding that it is and has been and always will be a choice. As I've said before, and I say again, what you don't know can, has, and always will hurt you. And the thing is, you have an opportunity to be confronted, or dare I say, carefronted with the truth if you would but choose.
That's beautiful.
And you, like I said, I appreciate everything that you're putting down, or I should say, locking down today, because at the end of the day, this is all we really got left. Now, I want to know something though. There's this business side of business that's usually it's definitely in the media is portrayed as dark and evil and mean and all this other stuff. For those that are looking and they're like, man, I want to be able to execute business, but what are the systems? What are the habits systems that I need in place in my business, and the habits I might need personally on a daily basis in order to make that happen for me? How would you answer that question?
Well, first off, I'd say with your question about what's dark is that comes to even shifting your perception around money, and that money is just a tool of production. And obviously, like I think we mentioned that, there's lack of money. So if you're wanting more money, it's simply create more value, and it's about how you love yourself. So when you see it as like, wow, the more money I actually create as a tool of production, it's a value exchange. And through that tool of exchange, when we start to see it, that the more money I have, the more I can, not only does it support me in living the life I want, the lifestyle I want, taking care of my kids the way I want, but it allows me to do so much more good for the world. Like, so through my programs, I've been able to create that, one program funds building houses and schools in Mexico. Another program funds a school in Colombia. Another program funds feeding the homeless in San Diego. Like, there's so much more good I can do for the world by doing that. And it was interesting when I started to shift my own money beliefs. Something I did was I put money up all over my house, and we put up all the different types of money, 100, 50, 20, et cetera, on the fridge. And I told my little boys, I was like, every time you walk by the fridge, just, feel the money. Be like, I'm so grateful. We always have plenty of money. And we'd like say our prayers like, we're so thankful. We always have plenty of money and can always help more people. And it was interesting. My little boy was like, well, isn't that wrong? Isn't that bad? And I was like, ooh, interesting. Where did that come from?
Right.
And his belief came from, his dad lives a very different life with money. And so his belief from his dad experience was that, money is going to make you a bad person and that it's not going to make you happy. And it's like, okay, so let's look at this. Let's just evaluate. Does it feel easier and able to be more happy and do more good for the world if you're someone who can help others, or you're someone who needs others to save you and help you? And it was interesting, like the very next day we were at, it was back when I actually bought my own groceries. Now I have a house manager that does all this fun stuff for me because I'm worth that. But when we were in like Costco parking lot, and some guy comes up and he asks us for money for a bus ticket. And we're like, yeah, of course, we always have plenty of money. And it was a perfect example for me to say to my boys, see, we can have the belief that money's bad and not create it and not choose to take responsibility of creating the life we want. And we get to be the person who's always waiting for someone else to help us, or we can be the people who have it to give. And so we've created some things that have allowed that perception to be part of like how we always have plenty, and it's so good to give and it's easy to give. And the more you give out, the more you're going to receive. So we have like a happy bag in the back of our car full of like, little toys and dollar bills and things that whenever we go into a restaurant or a store or anywhere in public, my boys grab the happy bag and their job is to spread happy. And to go give out things and give out money and we have a commitment that every single homeless person we see, we give money to, and we give if we have food in the back. So starting to just shift this belief that money is bad if that's what you're looking for, that's what you're going to find. And yet, you can see maybe there's people out there that have created a lot of wealth but their results show in the rest of their life, they're not happy. So the truth is that, money's not going to solve it all of your happiness. If you're out of alignment in your health, if you're out of alignment in your relationships, etc. It's how you do one thing, you do all things. But yet when you realize, wow, the more money I create, the more good I can do for the world, why the hell would you not? It's actually selfish to not create money so you're not otherwise you're the burden for someone else. You're waiting for someone else to help you instead of choose to be the creator of your world and give your gifts and share the value that you have and create the money to just even give more and take care of your family the way that you want to live and the life that you want to live. So I'd say that towards the darkness.
Love you. There's just so much similarity between everything. Like when I'm on stage, I say the same thing. I use different words. I say the same thing. We're all communicating the same language, and this has been the most synergy of the ones that we've talked to. If you ever go back yourself and listen to the rest of the series, you will hear so much of everybody saying the exact same. This is what you've got to do, but yet we let and choose to allow ourselves to get in the way. Now, are there any personal routines or habits that, say someone's listening and going, okay, I get it, Marci. I'm done with the stories. What's something I can do today, right now, today, so that my tomorrow or my next hour or next 10 minutes become different and I am now on the correct path?
Yeah, and I love that you said that, because we definitely get to not just be like, ooh, woo-foo, I'm just gonna like meditate that it happens and not listen and not take any action. You get to actually take action as well. And the number one thing, you touch base on it, is it's taking full responsibility. Like I authentically share everything that goes through my brain. In that, the only time that anything changes, by the time it comes out of my mouth, is I choose to fully take responsibility for it. Meaning, like, my words are, I notice I feel this, not you did this to me. There's no projection on anyone else ever. It's I am fully responsible for everything I think, everything I feel. And so even you were saying the words that we use and being aware of the words that I use, take full responsibility. Now, for me, I'm very clear on that every single aspect of my life is just as much a priority. How can I expect to manifest money if I'm putting myself off as like I'm not worth living in a healthy body? if I'm not worth balance and peace and flow, if my relationships with my kids and others aren't balanced and epic, there's a massive disconnect. So every single area of my life, the habits of my life, Jay, reflected that every single area of my life is a priority. I think of it as swinging singles in every area of my life every day versus trying to hit a home run in business and kicking ass and like running in chaos in business. And then guess what? I'm disconnected from my kids. I don't feel balanced in myself. I can't even think straight. I have no inspiration. I can't create. My body's off. It just doesn't work. So me being, again, the greatest asset that we've talked about is about taking care of me. And that's why as I've catapulted to or allowed myself to experience even receiving the amount of money that I do, I have more people in place to support me. Like I have a house manager and a couple assistants and tutors and nannies and all these things. So part of my daily process is every day, obviously, I'm going to get my workout in because I'm worthy of that. I get to live in a rocking body of health because it's just a behavior that is a symptom of my root belief of my self-worth that allows me to have energy and be able to show up fully in everything that I create and do. I'm definitely worthy of the balance with my relationship. So it's like every day I'm like, where's the balance for me? I get in meditation every single day to allow me to create that internal peace. Because again, every time we're going outside of ourselves, that's never a solution. It's about what's going on inside of ourselves. And you and I could easily go for another hour, I'm sure, on sabotage and breaking through sabotage. It's always seeking a feeling outside of you. Hence, you turn on the TV, drugs, alcohol, sex, etc. All these ways we go outside of ourselves instead of going inside and finding out what's going on. So that's a huge part of my day. And then even with my business, what are my targets and my things for my business versus being like this massive list? I see a lot of entrepreneurs do this. It's this massive list of 500 things that we have to get done. And then we're pissed that we didn't get all 500 done. Instead of like, well, what's my priority today? What's my main priority that my targets in my business? And how do I reverse engineer that to allow that to happen, to be in balance, peace, and flow? So very much like, I believe in waking up and setting out my intentions and, writing in my journal, be like, cool, this is what I'm creating for the day. And then it's like I kick ass with my body. And then I meditate for 5 minutes to just realign. And then I have these time chunks, like 90-minute time blocks where I'm like, obviously today my assistant had set up, your call as well as another TV interview. It's like, boom, this is where I'm doing this. Like, boom, this is where I'm creating on these days. This is where I'm connecting with people. This is where I'm coaching my clients or my masterminds, etc. So it's like I have these time chunks, but they're all spaced around my balance, peace, and flow. And that's the greatest contribution I can give to the people listening is if you're off balance, if you're not worthy and willing to give yourself the balanced life, you're never going to get there because you're saying at a core level, I'm not worthy. Someday, once I kick ass in business and I make all these things happen, someday I'll have a balanced life and then I'll be able to play with my kids and then I'll have this and then I can work out at the gym and someday is what you're creating. You'll always create resistance showing up in your life to keep yourself in the someday creation because that's what you've just declared.
Indeed. All you got to do is pick up a calendar, find someday, you'll see it's not there. Then you'll understand very, very real why I say that it's now o'clock.
That's I love that.
Only time you got. So
you just locked that down, Jay.
There it is. There it is. No, I know, like right now, I can easily see hanging out with you for a long time, simply because there's so much that you and I could banter back and forth on. But the listeners are only going to stay for so long, and I know that. But they also want to find out more about you, more about what you're doing. More importantly, they've probably heard a thing or two that says, you know what, I bet Marci has something that can help me make this happen. How about you let us know how we can track you down and get a little bit more?
Awesome. Well, two things that are three that I would suggest would be the most effective is my team has built MarciLockdown.com, which is MARCI lock, LOCK down, DOWN.com, which has a whole list of video series that is like me giving you all these different perception shifts and truths and tools to implement. So that's definitely like hands down the greatest thing you can give yourself is be able to get access to that. The second thing is I do have a free app, Marci Lock app, which is free on iTunes or marcilockapp.com. It has tons of my TV shows, radio shows, breakthrough tips, lots of videos, recipes, workouts, you name it. And then following me on Facebook every day, Jay, is really where every day my intention is just to share whatever comes through me and my own experience and, breaking through the bullshit and teaching people these different perceptions so that they can move on to create more awesomeness and be committed to awesomeness as their daily norm.
Indeed. Awesomeness as a daily norm. New goal for everyone listening. Now, for the final question as we calm down as I calm down here. I'm so right. I'm ready to go. Like this is you've managed to put me, like I get into this mental state before I attack the stage and go out to deliver my best self. And I am now in that state, which is not good for my family because I'm going to be hyper most of the day now, but that's okay. That's okay. I'll switch back to dad mode in a second. But the last question, there's probably someone listening who's considering, thinking about, wanting to put on that superhero outfit for the first time. They're standing in front of the superhero outfit store saying, I can be an entrepreneur. I've got to figure out my cape and my mask. And you know what? Maybe I do want tights. I just don't know what color. All of that. But also in the back of their head is that voice. And you know that voice, Marci. I know you know that voice. You've done battle with that voice. You've learned how to quiet it, when to listen, when to ignore. My question to you is, to the person who's at that stage right now, what would you say to them?
Breathe.
Like it.
Honestly, like it's so funny that is, if we simply, so this is the deal. Whenever you get affected by fear, which is you have that thought that comes up, oh no, well, who's going to listen to me? Or, can I really do this? And the fear thought comes up, the thought that's the pain button, the trigger. It's about whatever is your limiting belief. You're not knowledgeable enough. You might be judged, and all these fears. It's an energy, and it's sitting inside you. And if you, when we choose to, so what happens, Jay, is if you were conscious to it, you'd see your body contract. So you have this thought and you shrink. Your body contracts and you hold it inside you. Instead of when you just breathe, so you notice, again, let's go back to very simple square one. Every time you don't feel awesome, it's a red flag to go inside and see what's going on. So if every time you didn't feel awesome, you're like, oh, okay, I noticed here this thought comes up that, well, who's going to really listen to me? And instead of contracting, and which is reaffirming that limiting belief and holding it inside you, you simply chose to breathe. When I breathe and you sway your body just a little bit and you just breathe, what's happening is you're moving the energy through you. And then you can take the next step, which is be like, interesting that I have that thought. Like, so why do I think that? And then so this is where we can break anything down. Someone can go, well, I'm just, I'm not the most knowledgeable. Like when I started, I had this limiting belief, Jay, if you can believe this, like now I know I'm a genius. Yet back then I thought, well, who would listen to me? I don't have enough knowledge. And when we look at it as like, oh, am I standing and proclaiming to be the only and the best nutrition fitness expert in the world when I started in even the nutrition fitness side of things? No, what I was standing as was like, hey, you know what? I know I struggled because, I went through anorexia, bulimia, fighting my body all those years because I believed that I, had to have a perfect body to be loved. And so all I'm here to share is the truths that I learned and the freedom that I discovered on my journey. And that's all I'm claiming to share with you. So all of a sudden you can like break it down and be like, okay, so wait, so I'm scared that I don't have enough knowledge, but is that really true? I mean, I've been through this journey. I did get results with my body. I do know how to teach people that. So, and it's like, I'm happy in any way, Jay, that if it was to make it available to your peeps and your crew to have my 5 steps to overcome sabotage, which is like, we could go off on that too. It's just literally like a 5 steps of questions you just go through to ask yourself to consciously react. But it starts with breathing. Because if you were just conscious on your breath, you take yourself out of all the crazy thoughts and you just breathe. It's like that first step to just breathe, let it move through you. Now let's become conscious of what we're thinking and take that next step.
I will receive lots of less than pleasant emails if I don't allow them to have access to what you just mentioned. So if there's an easy way for them to do that, you please, by all means, say something about that.
Yeah, I can either, my team can give it to you if you want to have people give it to you, or what we could do is just, if they just want to message me, the easiest way is just message me on Facebook. Yeah. Then I'll have my team send it to them directly. And I mean, I can go through real quickly if you want, but it's a basic quick steps, which is like, so let's say so I use these 5 steps, which is the first one is the moment you don't feel awesome. It's that red flag. So you're going to breathe and be like, the first question is, what am I feeling? So if you're like, oh, what am I feeling? So I could, go into the core emotions where it's like, if it's in your chest, it's sadness. If it's in your head, neck, or shoulders, it's anger. If it's in your stomach, it's fear. If it's tingly all over, it's joy, which is a good thing we want to feel. Or if it's in your pelvis, it's sexual. So if you're like, I don't know what I feel, that can kind of tell you, your body will tell you what's going on. But even if you just go, well, I notice I'm feeling anxious. Why? So the next question, why? Why am I feeling anxious? So you might find that you're doing a project, you're like putting out, like maybe an ad or an email campaign or, trying to put something together or creating content. And all of a sudden you're like, you find yourself. So this is the thing. If you feel off, meaning you don't feel awesome, or if you find yourself in doing something that's going to sabotage. So if I was working on this project in front of me in my office, and next thing I know, I'm upstairs in the pantry, or, I'm all of a sudden organizing something else, or I find myself pulling out my phone for Facebook, right? You find yourself in a distraction pattern. It's because what triggered you is you're afraid you're going to fail. It's not going to be a success, or you just don't know what to do. So something happened to throw you off. You just get to catch it.
Yes, I got to say something. I call that the cat videos got you, because it's usually YouTube and you 2 hours later and it was the cat video. But yes, that's what I call that. The cat videos got you.
Yeah, so this is where you discover your patterns, whether it be a validation pattern, like I said, where people go, oh, I don't need to really do that today. I could do that later this week, or validate they don't need to do what they're planning on doing, or they distract themselves. This is where your patterns come up because what happened? You got triggered in some way. So the moment you catch yourself where you just don't feel awesome, which is how we always are meant to feel, or you're distracted by something, the cat video, all of a sudden you go, whoa, what's going on? You're in the pantry, you're like, whoa, what's going on? I was doing this project. I was committed to doing this project. What just happened? So you're like, what am I feeling? Feeling anxious. Why am I feeling this way? Oh, because I really am afraid this isn't going to be good. I just feel like I don't know how to do it, or I don't have the right content, or blah, blah, blah. So the third question is, what do I want? And this was the most powerful question for me as I started to shift my belief systems. So it's like, well, if I want to get this project done in front of me, I want to help people, I want to give them this value, I want to get this done. Okay, so what's really stopping me? It's kind of like if I stay here where I'm like, I'm not sure this is going to work, I'm just going to get the same thing. What do I want? I want to get this out. So, okay, so then you start to even ask yourself questions like, well, because if it might be like, I don't think I'm knowledgeable enough. Well, is that really true? And that's when I just broke down. We're like, well, I do have this knowledge. I do have something to share, and it gets to be good enough as it is. And we can kind of break down what we're thinking or it might be like, what if you're feeling off balance and you want to, you're recognizing the feeling you're really wanting inside is balance. It's like, well, what do I get to let go of today? Or how can I ask for assistance? Or how can I communicate? Or how can I work with my team to create this? And it's always about finding the next inch, the next step, the next solution, but you're catching what's really there for you that's creating the sabotage and moving through it. So what do I want? I want to get this out. Cool. So what would I get to do then? What's my new belief and perception? So the new belief and perception, which is step 4, might be, all right, I get to remember that, it's good enough as it is, and I'm getting better every day, and I'm giving people value, or I get to remember and choosing the new belief and perception that's going to serve you. And even if the evidence in front of you, say for instance, if I believed in the past the world was scary and people were, not nice, and I felt like always rejected, etc., instead, I get to choose my new belief and perception. So even if you experience something that looks true to your old beliefs, what do you want now? That's that step 3. What do I want now? What do I want? I want to only experience awesome people. So I get to believe now I only experience the very best people, and people are always so friendly and helpful. I'm so grateful that these people over here are my new experience. So you look for the new belief and perception. And then step 5 is what's the action you're going to take. So if I've decided, yep, I want to do this email campaign today and I've chosen to do this, it's like, okay, so what's the action I get to take? Do I get to, ask for some assistance if I'm feeling like I don't have the right knowledge or I have some questions? Do I get to let some things go, which might be my parameters of how it has to look, and just be like, cool, I get to do the best thing I know how right now, and I get to allow this to go out. So what's the action I'm going to take? And the part of that step is what's how are you going to shift your vibration? So if I was feeling fear about doing the email, and maybe it was because I thought I'm going to be judged. What if people don't like it? What if it's not good enough? What if I don't get anybody? So my new belief and perception is I get to do this now. I'm doing the best I know how. It's perfect as it is, and I'm growing, I'm getting better. And then, but if I go at it and I take that action, I'm like, okay, here I go. I'm going to do it. I'm still vibrating fear. I'm still like, what if it doesn't work? So you get to change that. So it's changing your state. So it might be go take 5 minutes and meditate, or turn on some music and dance around, or breathe and just what will change your state to remember, that's right, I'm doing this because I have a passion to share. I have people out there waiting for me to hold my hand up high and say, I want what you have. And the only way I get to help them is I get to do this email and I get to start to share my message. That's right. And what do I get to do to feel that? So that I can then take that action, and then I consciously move to an action. And I just created new evidence for myself. I created a new belief. I created a new pattern. And as I continue to do this, when it comes up, just like with Lori, where she had that, I don't trust myself, we shifted through it each time, and it eventually disappeared. Just like I don't believe that I'm not knowledgeable enough. I'm like, bring it on. I have some knowledge to share. Right.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's 100% perfect. And I will share just so that everybody knows exactly where she's coming from. I have a number of state changers. One of the ones that people think is odd and I still don't quite understand. I don't really care to understand. I just know that it works for me is classical music. For whatever reason, I play it. I feel better no matter what's going on. Awesome. It's classical music. So you got to have them. Ladies, gentlemen, you gotta have them. It's just there. So this is great. Go ahead. And
the other thing that I kind of left out is when you ask those questions, if all your questions were based out of excitement, curiosity, and wonderment, remember we're changing it from fear to faith. So it's like, okay, what's my new belief and perception? And like asking the questions out of like, well, what could I create? Or what would this look like? Or what else is possible? And we're asking out of curiosity and wonderment and excitement, you get to shift and change that state and you find those solutions.
Indeed. I have enjoyed listening, talking with, just experiencing your energy and going, oh yeah, these are my peoples right here. Because, as you've transitioned, there are some people that you don't talk to as much anymore. And I'm glad to find another person that I know personally I could talk to for a very long time. So I definitely appreciate you investing your time here with us at the Cashflow Diary.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jay. This was so much fun.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It's time for you to move at the speed of instruction. What does that mean today? That probably means for you that you are now going to immediately. When is immediately? Immediately is right now on your phone, on your iPad, on your Android device, whatever you are listening, you're going over to marcilockdown.com because you heard something that resonated and you know that if you take action on it today, right this moment, it will begin to make a difference. You've listened this far and it's made a difference already. So continue the journey. It's been fun talking to you guys today. I do look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.